everyone, and welcome back for another one of MMM Shenanigans. Today we're starting our third batch of wine. It's going to be this box kit right here. So, it is a Vintner's Reserve Cabernet Sauvignon, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that, but it is a kit you can find online at a lot of brew stores, just all over the place. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. We have our contents of our chemicals, bentonite and all that other stuff, which I need to get something else for that in just a moment. Oak, medium and heavy blend. So, guessing this is kind of like our oak chips for making it have that oaky taste, which is awesome. I did not know that this actually came with that. That is really cool. All right, we have one of the cool things about this box, and I might take a picture of it just to show you. There is a hole you can punch out specifically for this piece, so you can actually hold the box and dump the juice instead of having to worry about holding a big bag of liquid. That's really cool. So I'll go ahead and take it out for us. One really big bag of grape juice concentrate. I also have a bunch of waters down here that I'm going to be mixing in there to dilute it, because that's part of the instructions, which is in this bag right here, I'm hoping and praying. All right, back in you go. All right, so let's go ahead and punch this out. I'm not going to get to it right this second, just, taking time to do that real quick. Come on. So the box is winning. It's supposed to be like one of those perforated edges, and it is not working. Yeah, that just tore. Okay, so not happy about this one. I take back what I said about it. Yeah, whatever. I'm just going to pour the bag. Alright, so everything here has been sanitized. Except this. I'm going to go ahead and sanitize this while we're talking. So, a couple things to know about wine making. Everything needs to be really well sanitized. The reason for that is bacteria tends to cause problems, something called infections, which for us and wine is similar, just different types of bacteria. In order for the yeast to do its job properly, everything has to be without wild yeasts, because that could interfere with the fermentation of our beverage. It could also cause problems with the taste, the aromas. Just everything about the wine will not be the same if you do not sanitize it properly. Now, it's possible that it won't have any problem whatsoever. That is a very large possibility. And it's one I'm not really willing to risk. So, I'm going to move this off. I'm drinking wine while I do this. I got the second one. Compliments of my brother. So, I don't normally ask for anything. But my brother was in town and he asked if I wanted anything for Christmas. And when I told him I didn't know, he asked me about my videos and making wine. And I told him that I didn't really need anything, but I was trying to get more, because if I've not mentioned it before, in the state of Texas, there is a limit on how much wine you can make in a year for personal consumption. And that comes out to about 16 gallons a year. Now, one of these is about a 6-gallon batch, which in turn makes about 30 bottles of wine. Now, with that, if I were to have about 2 of these and a couple 1-gallon batches, I'd be right up there at the limit, and that's fine with me. That's kind of what I want to do, because I want to have all of my own different kinds of wines that I can taste and try out and share with friends and family, because I love wine. I love making it. It's a lot of fun. It's just, the whole idea of it is fascinating to me, the way yeast works, the way the oak chips, everything, the whole process of fermentation. The science behind it is just, it's fascinating. So what I'm doing right now, I've poured sanitizing solution in this bucket. I'm rotating it around, letting the solution touch every edge of this bucket, because our wine's going to come in contact with every edge of this bucket. So we want to make sure that everything is 100% sanitized to avoid any problems. Our first 2 batches seem to have gone off without a hitch. I just actually recorded like 5 minutes ago, no, 30, recorded the last, or the second to last steps of my other batch of wine. We racked it, we degassed it. It's a lot of fun. I shouldn't say I, because my wife just left for work. So I did all that. But that is our raspberry peach wine that is going to be made. I'm going to put this off to the side for now because it's kind of pointless. I'm going to pour this back into the sanitization bucket. But yeah, so our very first wine that we screwed up was going to be a raspberry peach wine. I love peach, she likes raspberry. It's a good combination. So we saw that we really wanted to go with that. Now, Star San is a no-rinse sanitizer. That's the sanitizer I'm using, is Star San. You don't got to rinse it out. You honestly just let it sit there. For best results, it's supposed to sit on the surface of whatever you're using for about 3 minutes, which gives me enough time to really pull the waters out and everything. But yeah, so my wife just left for work, so I'm making wine. My favorite wine is Cabernet, so I saw this one and I really wanted to try it. But yeah, the raspberry peach wine is almost done. 2 weeks, and then we'll be bottling that. And this is about 4 weeks before it's done. So I just wanted to be able to do all this, and my brother, he helped out. He helped us with this and a secondary carboy. We actually had some friends that helped out with some free wine bottles, just empty bottles. I've got to take the labels off and everything, but that's a tremendous help, because as fun as this is, and as cheap as it is in terms of per bottle, it's an expensive hobby. It's not cheap. But I love it, and I am having so much fun with it. So, alright. We're going to go ahead and start this. So let's go ahead and make sure we got everything. Let's go ahead and put you over here, because I don't think we need you for a little while. Let's open this. Should have said yeast. This is a Lalvin EC 1118. It's really good. It's honestly a champagne yeast, I think. You can use pretty much any yeast you want. Honestly, you could even, if you're not doing it with a kit, you could even use bread yeast. I've seen it done. A lot of people actually love it. I've never tried it myself. Now this is bentonite. I've got to mix this up with some warm water. I'll be right back. All right. So bentonite. I now have something to mix it in. So this is a blender bottle. This is not meant for this purpose, but I'm using it because it's better. So if you don't know what a blender bottle is, it has this little metal coil that's in there that helps to like blend up like protein shakes and stuff. Pretty much the same concept as what I'm about to do. So it works out perfect. Go ahead and dump this in there. Now bentonite is a clay. From my understanding, the way that it works, it takes negatively and positively charged ions. Like one of them, the bentonite is either positive or negatively charged, and the reason for it is it comes in contact with the particles that are in this that are the opposite charge, and it binds to it, allowing it to fall to the bottom like clay does. That's how it works. It's just it's clay. And so because of the way it works, it allows it to clear a starting phase. Of course, it's not the final clearing point, but it helps to pull out a lot of the debris that might be in the juice. It may still have like little bits and pieces of like grape skins and stems, whatever else is in there, you know. The bentonite helps to clear that out. So it binds to that stuff, it pulls it down, and then after about 2 weeks when this is done fermenting, when you suck out the liquid down into your carboy, that's when it leaves all that extra crap behind. You end up rinsing this down good. Yeah, looks like it's mixed up good enough. Go ahead and dump this in here. It's not good enough mixed up. It's okay, you know why? Because I can always add more water to this. That's what I'm going to do right now. Now it says to use hot water, and the hot water does work. The reason for the hot water is clay, so it's going to be, you know, it's more sticky. It's easier to, I guess, dissolve in hot water. I'm not concerned with it fully dissolving. It's going to accomplish the same thing. And that is exactly what I was looking for. Awesome. So, that is good to go. That is almost completely out. Next step is the wine base, the diluted wine. Go ahead and put all the trash over here for a second. I'll put you back up for a second. All right. Let's go ahead and get you out of the way. I hate this part. This part sucks. The first time we had one of these, the cap didn't want to come off. The second time, it came off too quick. Scared me. Well, I might have to cut this off. Don't know. There it goes. Right. Yeah, I'm just going to pour the bag because I'll stick it in the box. Not sure how well this is going to work out, so let's hope for the best. Now, I did lay down a tarp on the floor, so I have that down there in case I spill anything for this very reason. It's splashing a little bit. Not a whole lot, though. This is a very dark red color, which makes me happy because our last wine was actually a rosé, which I don't mind. Like, I do like rosés, but for me, my opinion is that I would prefer like a red wine. So the fact that it's so dark gives me hope that this is going to be a nice red wine. Alright, so the juice packet is empty. Now, that's not the end of it. I want to make sure to get all this extra stuff out, so I'm actually going to put a little bit of water in here, because I just want to make sure that if there is any like extra flavoring, any, say there are grape skins in there, for instance, like little pieces, I want to get all that because that actually adds a lot of flavor to it. So I'm going to pour some water in here. Don't got to do a lot, just a couple cups. Just enough to shake it up. You're going to dilute this anyways in the bucket, so regardless if you put it in here or directly in there, it's accomplishing the same thing. Now look how dark that is. That's all the extra juice that are left behind, all the extra pieces. That just happened. Alright, dump this in here, and we're done with this. Alright. Next step, we're going to fill it up with water. Got a little trash can back here. We're not going to fill this up with water. Let me go ahead and get the instructions and make sure I'm not missing anything, because, you know, always good to read your instructions, right? Day 1, bentonite, hot tap water, or 2 bags. Yep, okay. 23 liter mark. Okay. We are going to add enough water to the 23 liter mark. Now on here, it's going to be up to here. No, this is 20 liters. Up to a ridge that you can't see in here is about right here. There's a ridge in there that is where I need to put this. So I'm going to go ahead and keep filling this up. Alright, so my kit came with 2 of these oak, not chips, it's honestly more like granulated oak, which they said was normal. There's 2 of them here. I don't mind a strong oaky flavor, so I'm going to go ahead and do both. I've already read through the rest of the instructions to make sure that we're not supposed to use one of them later, and there's no differentiating like code or anything on it. It's the exact same thing. It's just 2 30-gram packets of oak. we stir. Let me go ahead and try to get these oak chips under the water a little bit because they're dry, so they're not going to sink anywhere yet. Try and get them wet. Just stir them in a little bit. All right, we are all stirred up. Let's go ahead and lay this down here. Now what you're going to do, take a gravity reading. Talked about these many times. Gravity is how you essentially determine your alcohol content at a later date. Your gravity is based on how much sugar is in your brew, your must. This is what it's called. That's what it's called. So this is called a must. Your grape juice, your water, whatever else is in here, that is called your must. We're going to determine the sugar content by measuring this. Oh, that is very dark. That is beautiful. Oh, yeah. And by determining the sugar content in here, we are going to be able to determine what the alcohol content is once the yeast has eaten all the sugars. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play with the hydrometer in here to try and get rid of some of these bubbles because the bubbles will cause problems with the reading. All right, now the bubbles are pretty much gone, so. Whew. It's right at a 1.9. Yeah. Okay, so specific gravity is right at 1.9. That is going to make a very, very nice, very strong red wine. Now, right now, this doesn't matter as much. I'm pouring this back in because everything was sanitized. This graduated cylinder, the hydrometer, both of these things were sanitized prior to recording the video. So I don't mind pouring it back in. Plus, I'm not really concerned about oxidation or anything right now. There's no problems with that. It needs oxygen right now to be able to ferment. So we're done. That's it. That's all you got to do to get started. You take your lid, you put that back on. Go ahead and, if it's a brand new bucket, it's going to be hard to get that lid back on. It's a very tight fit because it's airtight, it's watertight. It's a tight fit. So let's make sure that gets, there we go. We're good. So I'm going to go ahead and take my airlock now. Oh, I didn't do the yeast. That would help, huh? I guess this lid's getting broken in, huh? All right. Yeast. Lalvin EC 1118. The package tells you to rehydrate it. You don't have to. The package is telling you what's best for the yeast. The kit has been tested countless times to make sure that it's going to be exactly what it needs to do. The instructions of the kit do not tell you to mix it in. You can. It's not going to hurt anything. But you don't have to. It literally just says sprinkle it on top of the must, close up the container. That's what we're going to do. Here's why. The yeast will rehydrate on its own. You don't have to worry about rehydrating your yeast. It's sitting in a liquid. It's going to rehydrate on its own. It might take a couple days. You might not see activity for the first day or two. You might not even see it for 3 days. But it will start. If it doesn't, you have a different problem. And it may have been due to sanitation or just different random things. We're good. So now our airlock comes into play. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this with a sanitizing solution. I have a couple reasons why. Number one, it kills off any bacteria that gets in. And it won't allow any additional bacteria to get in because guess what? It's an airlock. what's going to end up happening is if a bug tries to get in, it's going to drown. But the reason that I like to use the sanitizing solution is because it bubbles up. Star sand actually foams. So what ends up happening is I can easily tell if there's been activity without having to look and wait for it to bubble every time, because I can see the bubbles in the liquid. So I know it's been bubbling. Even if it started to slow down, if there's bubbles in the liquid, like right now there's foam in there, I know that something's been happening with it. Otherwise there wouldn't be any bubbles. All right, everybody, this is it. It's done, it's ready, it's going to sit for 2 weeks. Then we are going to go through the clearing stages, the finding agents and everything. But aside from that, I want to thank y'all for watching my channel. I really do appreciate it. I do this for fun. Only reason I started doing these videos is because I saw a lot of people who weren't really explaining everything in depth. A lot of the chemicals and stuff like chitosan, keselsol, potassium sorbate, potassium metabisulfate, a lot of these things, nobody has a clue what they are, what they do. A lot of the channels I was watching just throws everything together, puts it away, doesn't explain anything in depth. And I mean, that's probably because they've been doing this for so long, they just assume that people might have seen their videos. I don't know. But I wanted to give like an in-depth, step-by-step tutorial based on the instructions to explain why we're doing stuff, what we're doing, when we're going to do it, stuff like that, because that was my problem when I made my first wine. The reason y'all didn't get to see that is because I screwed it up, and I wasn't thinking about starting a YouTube channel at that time. But that's what made me start. So right now, we're going to let this sit for about 2 weeks. Now, this does not matter if it's in the sun or not. However, the yeast, the temperature does matter. So when it's in like a glass jar, like wine bottles and stuff, they keep them in a cellar to keep the light out. This light doesn't matter right now because it's in plastic. The light can't get through. The temperature, however, does matter right now because for the yeast to be as active as possible, it needs to be between 70 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. I want to say the appropriate temperature is between like 67 and 78. That's acceptable, but the premium, like the best temperature for it is 70 to 75. That's what's going to get you your most activity. Aside from that, everything here is good to go. I'm going to go ahead and clean this up, but I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure to leave a comment if you have any questions. If you have any tips at all, I would love to hear it. I'm new at this. I love learning new things, especially when it comes to this. Maybe I did something a little bit different than you've seen before. Ask a question, please. I would love to find out the answer. If I don't know it, I will Google it and I will get back to you. Like my channel, subscribe to it so you can see when we post new content, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.